Shalom, hi. It's Rabbi Jonathan Blake. Welcome to my home. I'm happy to share with you a few reflections for this year's Pesach, a Passover that, of course, will be unlike any in our memory. Here we have gathered in this unusual format, many of us connecting with loved ones through the wonders of this kind of virtual technology. And I recognize that even though we're doing everything we can to stay connected, and to fulfill our mitzvah, our ritual obligation to remember our history as slaves and our miraculous deliverance. Things feel different this year, and maybe even parts of the Seder will come off as ironic or untrue. I recognize that there's a bit of a sour note when we say, "Let all who are hungry come and eat," and yet our tables are devoid of the guests who were supposed to surround us tonight. I recognize the irony in saying we used to be slaves and now we are free, when in fact we are quarantined and sheltered in place in our homes. The egg and the karpas, the green herb symbolizing rebirth and spring and renewed life, all come off as strange when we live under the specter of illness and death. And yet there are other themes of Pesach this year that will resonate with new power and possibility. The angel of death who haunts the song Chad Gadya, the saltwater tears, the bitter herb, the brittle matzah, which is known as the bread of affliction, all will taste more real this year, I think. And especially the reenactment of the 10 plagues. As we know, the plagues are ritually enacted by taking a little bit of wine out of our cup of sweetness. So I've poured myself a little bit of the good stuff. I've got some Manischewitz, kosher for Passover, Concord grape. And I have filled my cup, not quite to overflowing. And as we prepare to retell and enact the 10 plagues that afflicted the Egyptians during the Jewish people's time of greatest need, the custom is that we might dip one very clean, washed finger into the wine. Now you don't drink the wine in this instance, because it actually represents the diminishment of joy. And you take your finger and then you just put it on a plate so that we've spilled a little bit of a drop. With each recitation of the plagues, we say dam for blood, tzfardeya frogs, kinim lice, and so forth. And this year I would like to invite us, after we recite the traditional 10 plagues, to consider removing a few extra drops of wine from your cups. And so we spill a drop. We remove a little bit of sweetness from our cup of bounty for all those who have already been taken by the COVID-19 pandemic. And another drop for all those people who are sick and scared, lonely and isolated. Let's spill a drop for all of our incredibly brave healthcare workers who lack sufficient personal protective equipment, and all of their patients who may lack life-saving tools such as ventilators. And we spill a drop for all those who have been afflicted by cynical leadership, leaders who are preaching misinformation, promoting ignorance, and publishing falsehoods. And maybe one last drop, a fifth additional drop, for a world that longs for healing and redemption. May it be God's will that we can say with full hearts and faith, not only next year in Jerusalem, but next year in person, in community, with our loved ones and a renewed and healed world surrounding us. Chag Sameach.